The heavy bag exploded under my fist. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. 11:47 p.m., Tuesday night. My self-defense studio in downtown LA is empty, except for me and the ghosts of every lesson my father taught me before he died. Miguel Vasquez, boxing coach by day, something else entirely by night. I didn't know the truth then. Didn't know that every combination he drilled into my muscle memory, every escape route he made me memorize, every weapon he taught me to handle, all of it, was preparation for a war I didn't know was coming. The electronic door chime cut through my breathing. I froze mid-strike. The door was locked and had been closed for 3 hours. "We're closed," I called out, hand drifting toward the knife strapped to my thigh beneath loose workout pants. "I know." Male voice, Italian accent. "Expensive whiskey is smooth. I'm not here for classes." I turned slowly. 3 men stood inside my studio, water dripping from tailored coats onto worn wooden floors. The one who'd spoken was magazine cover, handsome sharp cheekbones, storm gray eyes, a suit that cost more than my rent. He moved with the fluid confidence of someone who'd never been told no. Behind him, 2 bodyguards. One built like a refrigerator, all muscle and menace, the other leaner, but somehow more dangerous, with the stillness that spoke of professional violence. Both had their hands positioned where they could reach weapons quickly. "Studio's closed," I repeated, not moving from my position near the heavy bag. "Come back during business hours." The beautiful man smiled. "I don't need to learn to fight, Miss Vasquez. I need to talk to you." He knew my name. That wasn't good. Very bad. I'd spent 5 years building a life where dangerous men didn't know my name, didn't know where to find me. About what? About your father. About what he left you. About why certain people are very interested in finding you. My blood turned to ice. Miguel Vasquez had been dead for 8 years. Whatever he'd left me, it wasn't money or property. It was a secret, a dangerous one. My father was a boxing coach. He didn't leave me anything except debt. Your father was many things, Elena. The way he said my name made something flutter in my chest. Dangerous. A boxing coach was just his cover. Miguel Vasquez was one of the best money launderers on the West Coast. He moved millions for the Torino family before retiring. Before he decided to keep something that didn't belong to him, the refrigerator-sized bodyguard shifted, cutting off my escape route standard intimidation tactics. Even if that were true, what does it have to do with me? You were 17 when he died, old enough to remember where he hid what he took. $20 million, Elena. Your father stole $20 million from the Torino family. I laughed, short and bitter. You think my dying father told me where he buried treasure? He would have left clues, breadcrumbs only his daughter would understand. My mind raced. If my father had really been involved with organized crime, if he'd really stolen something valuable enough to hunt me down 8 years later, who are you? Dante Moretti. I run security for certain business interests in this city. Moretti. I knew that name. Everyone in LA knew that name. The Moretti family controlled everything from the docks to the Diamond District. And what do you want from me? Protection. The Torinos are coming for you, Elena. Tonight, tomorrow, soon. When they do, they won't ask nicely. The lean bodyguard's phone buzzed. He answered, spoke rapid Italian. Then, "Boss, we need to move. Torino's people are 3 blocks out." Through the rain-streaked windows, I could see headlights approaching. Multiple vehicles moving too fast, too coordinated. "Time's up, Elena. What's it going to be?" The headlights were closer black SUVs with bulletproof glass and men inside who solved problems with violence. I looked at Dante Moretti, this beautiful, dangerous man who'd walked into my life with promises of protection and threats of death. "All right, but I have conditions." Dante's eyebrows rose. "You're in no position to make conditions." "I'm in the perfect position." I moved toward the weapons cabinet. "You need me alive and cooperative. The Torinos need me breathing long enough to scream." I pulled out a Glock 19, checking the magazine with practiced efficiency. Both bodyguards tensed, but Dante held up a hand to stop them. "Interesting," he murmured. "Most women would be crying by now." Most women didn't grow up with a father who believed in being prepared. I tucked the gun into my waistband and grabbed a tactical knife. Condition 1. I keep my weapons. I don't go anywhere defenseless. Agreed. The SUVs were pulling into the parking lot. Doors opening. Armed figures moving with military precision. Condition 2. You tell me everything. No lies, no half-truths. Done. Condition 3. When this is over, you let me disappear. New identity, clean slate. Elena. The first gunshot shattered the front window. Glass exploded inward like deadly rain. I dropped behind the reception desk as Dante and his men took cover. The refrigerator bodyguard was already returning fire. Back exit, I called over the noise. Through the locker rooms. Lead the way, Dante commanded. I stayed low. Moving through the studio I knew better than anywhere on Earth. Behind us, more windows shattered as the Torinos laid down covering fire. The locker room emergency lighting cast everything in hellish red. I led them through the maze toward the rear exit. How many ways out? The lean bodyguard asked. 2. Front door and back exit. They'll have the alley covered, he said grimly. Not necessarily. I stopped at a locker, spinning the combination. My father was paranoid. Inside was a panel that looked like part of the wall. I pressed a hidden switch. It swung inward, revealing a narrow tunnel leading under the building. Smuggler's tunnel, I explained. Connects to the storm drain system. Dante stared at the opening, then at me. Your father really was full of surprises. You have no idea. We crawled through the tunnel, single file, the bodyguard barely fitting. Behind us, I could hear the Torinos breaking down the front door. The tunnel opened into a concrete channel beneath the street. Water flowed ankle-deep, carrying the city's detritus toward the ocean. Which way? Dante asked. North. Access point 6 blocks from here. Comes up in a parking garage. We moved through the tunnels like rats, water soaking through expensive shoes. I led them through turns and junctions I'd memorized as a teenager. Why did he teach you all this? Dante asked as we climbed a rusted ladder. He said knowledge was the only inheritance that couldn't be stolen. The parking garage was empty except for late shift workers' cars. We found Dante's black Maserati on level 3. The refrigerator bodyguard Marco swept for explosives, while the lean one Franco watched the approaches. Clean, Marco reported. We piled in. Dante driving, Franco riding shotgun. Marco and I are in the back. Where are we going? I asked as we pulled out. Safe house. Neutral territory. The city flashed past. Neon and shadows painting everything in electric colors. Tell me about the Torinos, I said. If I'm going to help you, I need to understand what we're up against. Dante's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. The Torino family has been in LA for 40 years. Started small protection, loan sharking. But they got ambitious. Drugs, human trafficking, anything that turned a profit. And my father worked for them? Your father laundered money for half the families on the West Coast. He was good at it. Clean. Never drew attention. But 8 years ago, he disappeared with $20 million that belonged to the Torinos. $20 million. That's impossible. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, drove a 15-year-old Honda. Because your father was smart enough to know that spending stolen money was the fastest way to get caught. He hid it. Probably invested it. Let it grow while he waits for the heat to die down. But he died before he could retrieve it. Cancer doesn't wait for convenient timing. We pulled into the driveway of a house in the Hollywood Hills, all glass, steel, and modern angles. This is your safe house? This is my home. I looked at him more carefully. Dante Moretti wasn't just muscle for hire. He was someone important. Who are you really? He stopped, turned to face me fully. In the moonlight, his features looked carved from marble. I'm the man who's going to keep you alive long enough to find your father's money. And then I'm going to use that money to destroy the Torino family once and for all. Why? What did they do to you? His smile was sharp enough to cut glass. They killed my sister. The house was a fortress disguised as a home. Security cameras hidden in landscaping. Reinforced windows that looked like regular glass. Every angle provided clear sightlines for defensive positions. Inside, minimalist decor, original artwork, museum-quality furniture. The home of someone who had money but didn't need to prove it. Drink? Dante asked, moving to a bar. Whiskey. Neat. He poured 2 glasses and handed me one. Our fingers brushed. Electric shock that had nothing to do with static. Dangerous. Tell me about your sister, I said. Dante's expression darkened. Isabella. 22. Studying art history at UCLA. Beautiful, innocent, everything good in the world. He took a long sip. The Torinos kidnapped her 3 years ago. Used her as leverage against my family. What kind of leverage? They wanted access to our shipping operations, clean routes for their dirty business. My father refused. Said we didn't deal with animals who trafficked children. His knuckles went white around the glass. So they sent Isabella back to us in pieces. The casual way he said it made my blood run cold. I'm sorry. That's why you want to destroy them? That's why I'm going to destroy them. Your father's money is just the means to an end. I studied his face. Dante Moretti was either telling the truth or the best liar I'd ever met. What makes you think my father actually stole their money? Because Miguel Vasquez was too smart to lose 20 million by accident. And because the Torinos have been systematically hunting down everyone who worked with your father. 6 people dead in the last 3 years. 6 people. Dead because of secrets I didn't even know existed. If they've been looking for 3 years, what makes you think we can find it now? Dante leaned forward. Because you're the key. Your father loved you more than anything. If he hid that money, he would have left you a way to find it. I've been through all his things. Nothing unusual. Think harder. Shared memories, inside jokes, special places. I closed my eyes, trying to remember. My father had been a quiet man. He'd taught me to fight, to defend myself, to be strong. But he'd also taught me other things. How to read people, how to spot lies, how to survive. There was a storage unit, I said slowly. Downtown, near the garment district. He paid for it years in advance, told me never to go there unless something happened to him. But when he died, I was too young, too scared. By the time I was old enough, I'd forgotten about it. Dante's eyes sharpened. Where? I don't remember the exact address. And I don't have the key. We'll find it. What else? I thought harder. He used to tell me stories about a treasure hidden in the City of Angels. Said someday we'd go looking for it together. What kind of treasure? I thought he was being poetic. But maybe... I stood up, pacing. He always said the treasure was hidden where the angels watched over the lost souls. That could be anywhere. No, he was specific. The angels were made of stone, and they watched over the lost souls who came to the city looking for dreams. Dante's phone buzzed. He answered, spoke rapid Italian, his expression growing darker. The Torinos found your studio. They're tearing it apart. Did they find the tunnel? Eventually. But we were long gone. He moved to the window. They know you're with me now. That changes things. How? It means they'll come at us with everything they have. Fear crawled up my spine. What kind of message? The kind written in blood. Marco appeared in the doorway. Boss, we've got movement. 3 vehicles approaching. Dante was already moving, pulling weapons from hidden compartments. How long? 5 minutes. Elena, can you shoot? He offered me a military-grade pistol. Better than most. I checked the weapon automatically. But I've never shot at people. Tonight might be a good time to start. The lights went out suddenly. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Through the windows, I could see muzzle flashes getting closer. They're not coming to talk, Franco reported. How many? At least 12. Professional gear, coordinated approach. Dante handed me a tactical vest and helped me strap it on. His hands were steady, sure. Stay close to me, he said. Whatever happens, don't try to be a hero. What about you? What do you do for a living? His smile was sharp and cold. I kill them back. The first explosion shattered the front windows. Smoke grenades filled the room with thick gray clouds that burned my eyes. Move, Dante commanded, grabbing my hand. We ran through corridors I couldn't see, guided only by his grip and emergency lighting. Behind us, boots on broken glass, voices shouting in Italian. Safe room, Dante said, stopping at what looked like a blank wall. He pressed his palm against a hidden scanner. A section swung inward. The room beyond was small but equipped. Monitors showing security feeds, weapons racks, and communication equipment. How long can we hold out here? Long enough. He was already on the radio. But we're not staying. This is just a staging area. For what? For turning the hunters into the hunted. On the monitors, I watched armed men sweep through Dante's house with professional efficiency. Dante's fingers flew over the control panel. On the monitors, red dots appeared throughout the house, tracking the soldiers. What are those? Motion sensors linked to defensive measures. My home isn't just a house, Elena. It's a weapon. The first scream came through the speakers. On monitor 3, a soldier stumbled backward, clutching his face. Blood poured between his fingers where something had exploded. Pepper spray canisters, Dante explained calmly. Triggered by pressure plates. Another soldier triggered something in the kitchen. The floor gave way, dropping him into a foam-padded pit. You turned your house into a death trap. I turned my house into a fortress. Franco's voice crackled through the radio. Boss, perimeter secured. Ready for phase 2. Copy that. Elena, time to go. Go where? We're surrounded. Dante pressed another button. A section of the floor slid away, revealing a tunnel into darkness. My father believed in multiple exit strategies. This connects to a garage 3 blocks away. How many secret tunnels does your family have? Enough. We dropped into the tunnel, landing on solid concrete. The passage was wider than the one at my studio, with LED strips providing minimal lighting. Since Isabella died, Dante said as we moved through the corridor, I knew the Torinos would come for me eventually. The tunnel branched ahead. Dante took the middle path without hesitation. Tell me more about my father, I said. If he was really this master criminal, how did I not know? Because he loved you enough to keep you innocent. Miguel Vasquez lived 2 lives. During the day, he was your father. At night, he was something else. A money launderer. One of the best. He could take dirty money and make it cleaner than fresh snow. Until the end. What changed? Dante stopped, turned to face me. You did. He found out the Torinos were planning to expand into human trafficking. Young girls, some barely teenagers. He couldn't stomach it. The weight of that hit me like a physical blow. So he took their money. He took their money and used it to fund safe houses, rescue operations, and legal aid for victims. Your father spent his last 2 years trying to undo the damage he'd helped create. Tears blurred my vision. This wasn't the time for emotion. The storage unit, that's where he kept the records, evidence of what the Torinos were doing. Probably, and if we can find it, we can destroy them legally. You'd prefer the legal route? I'd prefer they suffer. Prison is suffering. Death is just an ending. We reached the end of the tunnel. Dante climbed first, checking the area before signaling me to follow. The garage contained expensive cars arranged like works of art. Dante led me to a black Lamborghini. Subtle. Fast. We pulled out into the night, leaving chaos behind. In the rearview mirror, smoke rose from the Hollywood Hills. Where are we going? To find that storage unit. The sooner we locate your father's evidence, the sooner we end this. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I showed it to Dante. We have your friend. Trade yourself for her life. 1 hour. Pier 47. Camila, I breathed. My best friend. She works at the coffee shop near my studio. She's completely innocent. Dante's hands tightened on the wheel. It's a trap. I know. I don't care. She doesn't deserve to die because of my father's choices. If you go, they'll kill you both. If I don't, they'll definitely kill her. Silence for several blocks. Finally, Dante pulled over. There's another option, he said quietly. I'm listening. We go to the pier, but not to trade you. We go to kill every Torino soldier there and take her back by force. That's insane. How many men do you have? Enough. Franco, Marco, and 6 others, all professionals. Against how many Torinos? Doesn't matter. We have advantages they don't. Such as? Dante's smile was predatory. We have you. I'm not a soldier. You're Miguel Vasquez's daughter. You're stronger than you know, and you're the one thing they want more than anything else. So I'm bait. You're the weapon that's going to destroy them. I looked at him, this dangerous man who'd walked into my life and turned everything upside down. What's the plan? His smile widened. We give them exactly what they want, and then we show them why that was the biggest mistake they ever made. Pier 47, stretched into the Pacific like a concrete finger pointing toward oblivion. 2:30 a.m. The docks were a maze of shadows and shipping containers. I crouched behind cargo containers, watching Torino soldiers position themselves. They'd chosen their ground well, multiple escape routes, clear sightlines, defensive positions. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They thought I was coming alone. Count? Dante's voice whispered through my earpiece. 12 visible, probably more in the containers. I adjusted my scope. Camila's in the warehouse at the end, 2 guards on the door. Snipers? I swept the surrounding buildings. 3 positions. Fish processing plant, crane operator's booth, shipping office. Franco, you copy? Copy, boss. We have eyes on all 3, ready to engage. The plan was simple. I would walk onto the pier, drawing attention while Dante's men eliminated the snipers and perimeter guards. When shooting started, I'd take cover. Simple. Except for the part where I had to walk into a trap. Elena. Dante's voice was softer. You don't have to do this. We've had this conversation. Your father would understand that some things are worth the risk. Silence. Then, copy that. All teams, prepare to move on my signal. I climbed down from the roof, landing silently in the alley. The warehouse was 200 yards away, across open ground. Alpha team in position, Franco reported. Bravo team ready, Marcus confirmed. Charlie team standing by, added Sophia. Elena? I checked my watch, 3:17 a.m. In 3 minutes, lives would either be saved or lost. Ready. All teams, execute. Go, go, go. The warehouse exploded into chaos. Flashbang grenades detonated simultaneously at multiple entry points. I sprinted across open ground, using confusion to reach the loading dock. The first soldier I encountered was stumbling around blind. I put him down with a taser, zip-tied his hands, and moved deeper. Gunfire erupted as Franco's teams engaged the enemy. Civilians located. Marcus's voice cut through the noise. Southeast corner. Approximately 15 individuals. They're alive but drugged. Medical team standing by. I found the container section. When I opened the first one, my heart broke. 5 young women, barely conscious, chained together. Their eyes were glazed with drugs, but I could see the terror. It's okay, I whispered, cutting their restraints. You're safe now. One, a blonde girl, maybe 16, grabbed my arm, saying something desperate in Russian. I don't understand, but you're safe. She's saying thank you, a voice said behind me. I spun, weapon raised. Vincent Torino stood in the doorway, tall, thin, expensive suit, the head of the family. Elena Vasquez, he said conversationally. Miguel's little girl, all grown up. Step away from the container. Or what, you'll shoot me? His smile was sharp. You're not a killer. You're a bleeding heart who thinks she can save the world. I've killed before. Vincent was in self-defense. This would be murder. He was right. Vincent was unarmed, hands visible. Shooting him would be an execution. The girls. Let them go, and we can discuss terms. Terms? Vincent laughed. You think this is a negotiation? You've just declared war on an organization that spans 3 continents. Then we'll deal with the consequences. Will you? When they come for your friends, your foundation, everyone you've ever cared about? Doubt crept in. The Torino family was larger than I'd imagined. By attacking them, I'd painted targets on everyone I loved. Elena, report, Dante's voice, urgent. I have Vincent. He's unarmed. Bring him in for questioning. He's threatening retaliation. Let me worry about that. Secure the target. I looked at Vincent. This man who sold children like commodities. You're coming with us. Am I? I have immunity deals with 3 federal agencies. Diplomatic protection. You can't touch me legally. Who said anything about legal? Vincent's confident expression faltered. You're not your father. Miguel understood the rules. You're just an amateur with delusions of justice. Maybe. But this amateur just destroyed your operation and freed your victims. One operation. I have dozens. I zip-tied his hands, ignoring his protests about immunity. All teams, sound off, Dante commanded. Alpha team secure. 4 hostiles down, 2 in custody. Bravo team clear. 6 hostiles neutralized, no friendly casualties. Charlie team holding perimeter. Elena, primary target secured. 15 victims recovered, all alive. Outstanding. Extraction in 5 minutes. I helped the rescued girls out of the container, supporting those too weak to walk. They clung to me, these children who'd survived hell. This isn't over, Vincent said as Franco's men loaded him into a van. You have no idea what you've started. Yes, I do, I replied. I've started a war, and I intend to win it. The warehouse was burning behind us as we drove away, orange flames reaching toward the sky. 20 human beings were free because we'd chosen to act. But Vincent was right about one thing. This was just the beginning. 3 days after the warehouse raid, I stood in the parking lot of Secure Space Storage, staring at the building that might hold the key to everything. The facility was closed, locked down. But Vincent's associates had arrived 20 minutes before me. They'd cut through the fence and turn off alarms with professional efficiency. My phone buzzed. A photo of Camila with fresh bruises. The message, 4 hours remaining. I closed my eyes, trying to channel my father's voice, his lessons. The storage unit was on the 3rd floor. Yellow light spilled from the open doorway. "Elena." Vincent stood silhouetted against the light. "Right on time. Come see what your father left you." I walked past him into the unit. My breath caught. The space was filled with boxes, filing cabinets, and equipment. But the wall's every surface was covered with photographs, documents, maps, and strings connecting various pieces of information. A detective's workspace or a madman's obsession. Impressive, isn't it? Vincent moved beside me. "Your father was more thorough than we gave him credit for. He documented everything. Every transaction, every meeting, every crime we committed over 15 years. I moved closer, studying the photographs. Some showed Vincent and other men in business meetings. Others showed warehouses, shipping containers, and young women who looked terrified. The trafficking operation, among other things. Your father kept meticulous records. Insurance, he called it, but he never used it. Miguel was old school, believed in honor among thieves, right up until he discovered we were expanding into children. I found a photograph that made my stomach turn, a shipping container filled with girls who couldn't have been older than 15. In the corner, someone had written a date and location in my father's careful handwriting. He was building a case against you. All of this is evidence. Evidence that died with him. Or so we thought. Vincent pulled out his phone, showed me another photo of the hostages. Mrs. Chen is bleeding from a cut on her forehead. But now we have a problem. Your father's evidence is worthless without the financial records, without proof of where our money went. Maybe he destroyed them. Miguel Vasquez was too smart to waste $20 million. It goes somewhere, gets invested in, and then grows. Your father was too smart to burn that much money simply. I moved deeper into the unit, looking for anything that might give me a clue. File cabinets filled with documents, boxes of photographs, and in the corner, a punching bag. Old, worn, patched. The same bag my father had used to teach me how to fight. He moved it here. Moved what? This punching bag. It was in our garage when I was growing up. After he died, I thought it had been thrown away. I felt along the seams, looking for anything unusual. The leather was soft with age, but there, near the bottom, a hard edge, like paper or plastic, sewn into the lining. "Vincent, I need a knife." He handed me a switchblade. I cut carefully along the seam. My fingers found a waterproof pouch, sealed and protected. Inside was a single sheet of paper, covered with my father's handwriting. I read it silently first. "Mija, if you're reading this, the wolves have finally come for you. I'm sorry for the life I lived, sorry for the choices that brought danger to your door. I'm not sorry for what I did with their money. Every dollar went to save the innocents they destroyed. The accounts are now in your name. Passwords are what mattered most to us. Our first fight lesson. The song I sang when you couldn't sleep. The place where we scattered your mother's ashes. You know these things, Mija. Use the money wisely. Build something better than what I tore down. And remember that love is the only inheritance that genuinely matters. Te amo siempre, papa. Elena." Vincent's voice was sharp. "What does it say?" I looked up at him. This man who'd killed children for profit. "I made a choice that would have made my father proud. It says the accounts are in my name, and only I can access them." Vincent's face went white, then red with rage. "Then you'll give me the passwords." "No. I'm going to do what my father would have wanted. Use your blood money to save the people you destroyed. You think you can just walk away? I'll kill everyone you love? You can try." The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. And in that hellish glow, Dante Moretti stepped from the shadows, very much alive and very heavily armed. "Hello, Vincent," he said. "We need to talk." The storage unit erupted into chaos. Vincent's men opened fire immediately. I dove behind a filing cabinet as bullets sparked off metal and concrete. Dante moved like liquid death, flowing from cover to cover. His gun barked twice. 2 soldiers dropped. "Elena, stay down," Dante shouted. Vincent had taken cover behind the punching bag. Even in death, Miguel Vasquez was protecting people. "You should have stayed dead, Moretti," Vincent called out. "Disappointed?" Dante's voice now came from a different position. "Your sister squealed like a pig when we cut her." The temperature dropped 10 degrees. When Dante spoke again, his voice was empty of everything human. "I'm going to enjoy this." More gunfire. A scream as someone took a bullet. The smell of gunpowder mixed with blood. The note from my father was still clutched in my hand. The passwords weren't just words. They were memories. Pieces of my soul turned into keys. A body hit the floor near my hiding spot. One of Vincent's men, eyes staring at nothing. "Dante," I called out. "We need to go. More are coming, not without Vincent. The hostages are already free. Franco and the others weren't captured. We let Vincent think he'd won so he'd lead us here." Relief flooded through me. Camila was safe, Mrs. Chen, Tommy, and all of them. "You played me. I protected you. There's a difference." Another exchange of gunfire. Vincent was down to 2 men now. "Elena," Vincent's voice cut through the chaos. "You still have something I want. The passwords are in my head. Kill me, and you get nothing. But I don't have to kill you. I have to hurt you." A grenade rolled across the floor, not fragmentation tear gas. I held my breath and ran, sprinting toward the back of the unit as white smoke billowed. My eyes burned, tears streaming, but I kept moving. Near the ceiling, a ventilation grate, large enough for a person to crawl through. I climbed onto boxes, fingers finding the screws. They were loose, as if someone had prepared this escape route years ago. Another gift from my father. The grate came free, as Vincent's men reached my position. I hauled myself into the ductwork, kicking backward as hands grabbed for my legs. The ventilation system was a maze of metal tunnels. I crawled through darkness, following the airflow toward what I hoped was an exit. I emerged from a grate on the building's roof, gasping. The city spread below me, lights twinkling like fallen stars. Franco was waiting by a helicopter that had landed silently. "Boss sent me," he said. "Time to go." "What about Dante?" "He'll meet us at the rendezvous point if he can." The uncertainty in Franco's voice made my stomach clench. "I'm not leaving without him." "Elena, with respect, you don't have a choice. Vincent's reinforcements will be here in 5 minutes." The helicopter's rotors began to spin. Franco was right. Staying would accomplish nothing except more death. But as I climbed into the aircraft, I made a promise. This wasn't over. The helicopter lifted off as explosions rocked the storage facility below. Vincent was destroying evidence, but he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd let me escape with the passwords. I pulled out my phone and began typing. Bank websites, investment accounts, offshore holdings. All the places my father might have hidden $20 million. The first password was easy. Primera lección. First lesson. The day he'd taught me to throw my first punch. Access granted. The second, Estrellita, Little Star. The song he'd sung to me every night when nightmares made sleep impossible. Access granted. The third made my eyes blur. Playa Esperanza. Hope Beach, where we'd scattered my mother's ashes. Access granted. Account after account opened, revealing the true scope of my father's final operation. $20 million had become $35 million through careful investment. Money that could fund rescue operations, safe houses, and legal aid for victims. Money that could destroy the Torino Empire from within. The helicopter banked toward the mountains, carrying me away from the burning storage facility. Vincent thought he'd won. Thought he'd broken me. Forced me to reveal my father's secrets. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The safe house was a cabin in the San Gabriel Mountains, accessible only by a dirt road through the wilderness. Franco had flown us there in silence, his jaw tight with worry about Dante. I sat on the porch, laptop balanced on my knees, transferring my father's hidden fortune to accounts Vincent could never touch. $35 million, moved with keystrokes and passwords that tasted like childhood memories. Each transfer felt like honoring my father's final wish, and using blood money to heal the wounds it had created. "Any word?" I asked as Franco emerged from the cabin. "Nothing. But that doesn't mean anything. The boss is good at staying invisible." "How long do we wait?" Franco's expression was grim. "Until dawn. If he's not here by then." He didn't finish. We both knew what it meant. My phone buzzed with an encrypted message from one of the victim advocacy groups my father had secretly funded. They'd received an anonymous $5 million donation. The message included photos of young women who'd been rescued, their faces blurred for protection, but their smiles genuine. This was what my father had died for. Not money or power, but the chance to give hope back to people who'd had it stolen. "Elena." Franco's voice was sharp. "We've got company." I looked up to see headlights winding up the mountain road. Multiple vehicles, moving fast despite treacherous terrain. "How many?" "4 vehicles. maybe 16 men. Franco was already checking weapons. This place is fortified, but not against that kind of force. Is there another way out? Service road on the back side, but we'd have to reach the garage first. 50 yards across open ground, not impossible, but close. What about Dante? If he's still alive, he'll come here. If he's still alive, he'll understand why we had to run. The first vehicle crested the hill. I could see armed figures spreading out to surround our position. Elena Vasquez. The voice came from speakers mounted on one of the vehicles. You have something that belongs to me. I have something that belonged to the children you trafficked. I'm just returning it to them. $35 million doesn't belong to dead children. It does now. Gunfire erupted from multiple positions. Franco returned fire from the kitchen, his shots precise, but we were outnumbered 4-1. The transfers, Franco called over the noise. Are they complete? 80%. I need 10 more minutes. We don't have 10 minutes. A grenade exploded against the cabin's front wall. The building shook but held. I reopened the laptop, fingers flying over the keyboard as bullets whined overhead. Account after account, transfer after transfer. Elena. Vincent's voice again, closer. Last chance. Give me the passwords and I'll make your death quick. Counteroffer. Surrender now and I'll make sure you get a fair trial. His laughter was cold. You think you're your father's daughter? Miguel was a professional. You're just a frightened little girl. Maybe. But this frightened little girl just transferred your entire fortune to human rights organizations. The gunfire stopped abruptly. In the sudden silence, I could hear Vincent screaming orders, his voice cracking with rage. Burn it down, he roared. Burn it all down. The first Molotov cocktail shattered against the roof. Flames spread across wooden shingles with terrifying speed. Time to go, Franco said, grabbing emergency supplies. We ran for the back door as the cabin became a furnace. The service road was 100 yards through dense forest. A figure stepped from behind a pine tree, rifle raised. I shot him twice in the chest before he could fire. He dropped without a sound. I felt nothing. No guilt, no remorse, just the cold satisfaction of survival. This way, Franco whispered. We moved like ghosts through darkness. Behind us, the cabin burned like a beacon. Ahead lay uncertainty. That's when I heard it. The distinctive whine of helicopter rotors. Vincent had called in air support, thermal imaging, night vision. Our chances had just dropped to nearly zero. Franco, I said quietly, I need you to do something. Name it. Take the laptop. Get it to safety. Make sure the transfers are complete. Elena, no, we stick together. Look at me. I grabbed his arm. I'm Miguel Vasquez's daughter. I know how to disappear. But that laptop contains the only thing that matters now. Franco's expression was torn between duty and pragmatism. Boss will kill me. Only if he's still alive to do it. The helicopter was directly overhead, searchlights sweeping through trees. I could hear Vincent's men closing in. Go, I whispered, now. Franco disappeared into the darkness, taking my father's legacy with him. I was alone again. Alone with my weapons, my training, and the burning need to make Vincent pay. The searchlight found me as I stepped into a clearing, bathing me in white light. Elena Vasquez. Vincent's voice boomed from the helicopter. Finally ready to be reasonable? I'm ready to finish this. The helicopter landed, rotors still spinning. Armed men poured out. Vincent emerged last, his expensive suit torn and dirty, his face twisted with rage. Where's the laptop? Safe, along with the passwords you'll never get. We'll see about that. He nodded to his men. They moved to surround me. But as they closed in, I smiled. Because I'd just heard something that made my heart soar. The sound of Dante Moretti's voice, carried on the wind like a promise of vengeance. Vincent, he called from the darkness. Let's finish what you started with my sister. The forest exploded into warfare. Dante's voice had come from the darkness like death itself. Vincent's men spun toward the sound, weapons raised. But Dante was already moving. The first soldier was dropped with a knife to the throat. The second managed a shot before Dante's bullet found his heart. Muzzle flashes strobed through trees like deadly lightning. Kill her! Vincent screamed, pointing at me. Kill her now! But I wasn't the helpless victim he expected. The moment his attention shifted, I moved. My knife found the nearest soldier's kidney. He collapsed, and I took his rifle. "Elena, stay down," Dante's voice carried across the clearing. "I'm not hiding anymore," I called back, sighting down the scope. Vincent's helicopter pilot was trying to lift off. I put 3 rounds through the cockpit glass. He slumped over the controls as the aircraft settled back with a grinding crash. "You killed my father!" I shouted at Vincent, who was using the downed helicopter for cover. "You destroyed innocent lives for money." "Your father was a thief. He got what thieves deserve. My father was a man who found his conscience, something you wouldn't understand." More gunfire. Dante was systematically eliminating Vincent's soldiers. A grenade landed near my position. I rolled away as shrapnel tore through the air. My ears rang, but I kept moving, kept fighting. "Behind you," Dante's voice urgent. I spun, firing instinctively. The bullet caught the flanking soldier in the center mass. When I looked up, Dante was there, blood streaming from a cut on his forehead, but very much alive. "You're supposed to be dead," I said. Disappointed? His smile was sharp. "Vincent's men aren't as good as they think." "How did you find us?" "Franco left a trail." Dante's eyes swept the clearing. "Where's the laptop?" "Safe. The transfers are complete. Vincent's money is gone." Satisfaction flickered in Dante's expression. "Good. Then we can focus on the important business, which is making him pay for Isabella." Vincent had taken cover behind the helicopter wreckage, but his options were running out. Most of his men were dead or wounded. "Vincent!" Dante called out. "It's over. Come out and face what you've done." "Go to hell, Moretti." "I've been there. It's where I learned to kill men like you." Dante moved with fluid grace, using terrain and shadows to close the distance. I provided covering fire, keeping Vincent pinned while Dante maneuvered. "Elena!" Vincent's voice was desperate, cracking with fear. "You don't understand what you're doing. That money belongs to people who will come for you." "Let them come," I replied. "I'm Miguel Vasquez's daughter. I know how to fight." "Your father died screaming my name." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What did you say?" "The cancer was just the cover story. We gave Miguel a choice. Tell us where he hid the money, or die slowly from poison that mimicked terminal illness. He chose to protect his precious daughter right up to the end." The world went red around the edges. Everything I thought I knew about my father's death was a lie. He'd been murdered, slowly, deliberately, while I sat beside his bed. "Elena, don't!" Dante's voice urgent. But I was already moving, rage overriding caution as I charged toward Vincent's position. Vincent rose from cover, pistol raised, finger tightening on the trigger. Then Dante was there, throwing himself between us, taking the bullet meant for me. He grunted with impact but didn't go down, his own weapon barking twice in rapid succession. Vincent Torino crumpled to the ground, blood spreading across his expensive shirt. His eyes were wide with shock, the arrogance finally stripped away. "Isabella," Dante said quietly, standing over the dying man. "Her name was Isabella, and she was worth 1,000 of you." Vincent tried to speak, blood frothing on his lips. But whatever final words he wanted were lost in the gurgle of his last breath. Silence settled over the clearing like a shroud. Franco had been the first to join our cause, bringing soldiers who'd grown tired of fighting for money. Now they fought for something that mattered. The meeting broke up with handshakes and promises. Soon it was just Dante and me. "Regrets?" he asked quietly. "About which part? Killing Vincent? Stealing his money? Falling in love with a reformed crime lord?" "Any of it." I moved to the window, looking out at Los Angeles, the city where my father had lived and died, where I'd learned the difference between justice and law. "No regrets," I said finally, "but I have concerns." "Such as?" "This life we're building, it's not sustainable. Eventually, someone's going to figure out what we're really doing. And when that happens, we need an exit strategy." "I've been thinking about that," Dante said. "There's a place in Costa Rica, completely off-grid. We could build something there, something clean. A retirement plan for reformed criminals? A future for people who want to leave the past behind." I leaned against him, feeling the solid warmth of his body, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "Do you think my father would approve?" "I think your father would be proud that his daughter found a way to turn blood money into hope." My phone buzzed with an encrypted message from one of our safe houses. Another rescue operation. Another group of victims pulled from hell. The message included a photo of a young girl, maybe 14, smiling for the first time in months. "There's a shipment coming in next week," I said, showing Dante the message. 20 girls from Eastern Europe. Intelligence? Solid. Franco's contact confirmed the manifest. Security? Heavy. They learned from Vincent's mistakes. Dante was quiet, studying the photo. "We'll need more men, better equipment. Are you sure? This isn't like Vincent. If we move against them, there's no going back." There was no going back the moment you opened your father's storage unit. We're committed now. The only question is whether we're committed enough to see it through. I thought about my father, dying slowly from poison while protecting secrets that could save lives. I thought about Isabella, tortured and killed because her brother refused to compromise with monsters. I thought about 20 girls who would be sold like cattle if we did nothing. "Make the calls," I said. "We're going to war." Dante's smile was sharp and cold, the expression of a man who'd found his purpose. "I was hoping you'd say that." Outside the window, the city lights twinkled like stars. Somewhere out there, monsters were preparing to destroy innocents for profit. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated Miguel Vasquez's daughter, and she had learned everything her father had to teach. The warehouse district at 3 a.m. was a maze of shadows, but we knew how to hunt in darkness. We knew how to turn the hunters into prey, and we knew that some wars were worth fighting, no matter the cost. Because justice doesn't wait for convenient timing, and love, the only inheritance that truly matters, demanded nothing less than everything. My father had taught me that, and now finally I understood what he meant. The war between justice and profit would never truly end, but as long as people like us were willing to fight, the innocent would never be without champions. And sometimes in a world full of darkness, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.